Hi guys, David Ford here and welcome back to the channel. Now it's been a long time since I've posted a video and there's good reason for that. But I'm excited to announce that we finally filmed Preacher Man. I wanted to share my testimony about making this movie, about the hardships that we went through and how it gave me a personal testimony. And also show you some behind the scenes photos of the movie. But before we can even do that, we have to go way back. I'm talking about way back 14 years to 2011. In 2011, myself and Stuart Miller teamed up to make our first movie called Preacher Man. And we only had like $2,500. And so it was just mainly, we had one cameraman and he kind of did everything. Nobody was paid in the movie. It was all donations and food, basically is all it was. We shot the film for 30 days, almost 30 days, in the heat of the summer around Waco. The last day of filming, tragedy kind of struck. We got noticed that another one of the producers in the film, who had not brought any money to the table, wanted part ownership of the film and $14,000. And so it kind of blew our minds, and unfortunately we could never reach an agreement. And so I decided to scrap the film. And it was very disheartening. I felt devastated for several months. But the more I started looking at the footage and stuff, I was like, this is our first film, and although there's some great moments in this movie, it wasn't up to par. It wasn't like the standard and quality that I wanted. But anyways, it was very difficult to let that go. And for years and years, I prayed about, Lord, please open the door for us to remake Preacher Man one day. And so basically, I didn't know if that was ever going to happen. And along the way, I was like, hey, I'm going to make a Bigfoot movie, just to make a movie. And, I was kind of interested in the subject. And I was like, I'm going to make a family Bigfoot film. It's going to be the first serious family Bigfoot film ever made. And it was called Something in the Woods. We made that like in 2014, a few years after we attempted to make Preacher Man. And then that led to another faith film a couple years later called Sense of Urgency. And then finally, the last film we made after that was Man vs. Bigfoot. All PG, all family films. And I was still praying the whole time for God to open the doors for us to make Preacher Man. And I just kind of really, to be honest with you, I was pretty much gave up on it. And then one day in 2025, I would say around March, April, somewhere in there, I got a phone call. And somebody wanted to donate a good amount. But less than what you would buy a used car with. That had about, 100,000 miles on it, or 200,000 miles. So I was like, well, this is more than we had to make a couple of our other films, so let's give it a shot. So me and Stuart started talking, and then someone that was been in almost all of my movies stepped up. It's like, hey, we want to donate too to this project. And so boom, we had actually not a decent budget, but more than what we've ever had to make a movie. Preacher Man, unlike any of the other movies we've made, is much longer, much more difficult. The screenplay itself was the max, and we had lots of locations. There was animals involved, so we were a little bit nervous about it. I was very nervous about it, to be honest with you. We planned, and we got the right people involved. We prayed about it, and then the day came to make the movie, the first day. And a lot of people were staying here at my house in campers. Some staying in the bedrooms, guest rooms. Some people, sleeping on the couch. People were just everywhere. And we didn't have a huge crew either. We probably had maybe 10 committed crew members that were always here. And so basically what happened during the first few days of filming, it was actually going pretty good. Things were starting to, we tried to start small on some smaller scenes, and things started going, halfway decent. But I noticed we were kind of going a little bit slower than what I wanted to go. Uh, but I was still happy. Hey, we were making Preacher Man. We were making one of my top screenplays that I've ever written. I was like, and it has a great character, a great story behind it. I was like, we're doing pretty good. I'm leaving out an important detail. About a week before we started filming, my mother got very sick, and to the point where we had to call in hospice and put her in a hospice bed in the living room. And now she lives next door to me, and we all kind of knew this was probably going to be it for her. She's made it to a lot of sicknesses in her life and stuff, but we just all knew that this is not something she was going to come back from. And I just have to say that my mom and I were like best friends. She was my buddy. She was always there for me, supported me. When things went either right or wrong in my life, I was either calling mom or going to see her. She was my biggest supporter. But anyways, the third day of filming, my mother did pass away. And of course, I was there by her bedside every chance I got. And may it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. That's about all I know. You remember that song? And she just looked at me, and in one of her conscious moments, because they were giving a lot of morphine and stuff, she's like, "Finish this movie, son." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And she gave me a kiss, and she told me she loved me. And she was surrounded by family and friends when she passed. And it was very, very hard, let me put it that way. And I didn't even know if I was going to be able to make this movie the way I wanted to, because my mind just really wasn't there all the way. And people noticed that on set. And some people said, "Hey, you're missing a couple things here. You didn't point this out or point that out, or you didn't say cut." And I was like in my own little world. I was having a hard time, struggling inside. Some good trusted friends stepped up to help me co-direct this movie. And so I'm very thankful for that. And I did feel an inner strength come about me through all the prayers, because I'd cried my eyes out for a week leading up to her death, and then when she passed. And so when those moments came to me, I just felt supernatural strength that only God could give me. So we continued making the film. The days ran long and hot. I'm talking about over 100-degree weather and the heat. There was just a lot of chaos going on, a lot of confusion. Not all the time, but sometimes we're moving a little slow. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong on set, and including the loss of a $7,000 camera in the swimming pool. My dad totaled his truck like 2 weeks into the movie, which now he didn't have a way to drive, and we had to start attending to him more than normal. It was heightened stress, a lot of stress and chaos. And so I'm not going to mention everything that happened on set. We had some issues with just cast and crew sometimes not getting along on set, and this is a Christian film, so there were so many times that we had to stop and rebuke Satan and come together and pray and swallow our prides and be humble and move forward. And I'm going to tell you something. There was a point in this film that I didn't lose my faith in God, but I lost my faith in this film, which I guess you could say I almost lost my faith in God, because I thought he is the one that orchestrated all this to begin with. And I remember thinking the next day, which was our climactic fight scene, like there's no way that we're going to get all this filmed. It requires about 4 days of filming, and we're trying to squeeze it into 2 days of filming in the heat. And I was like, no way, tomorrow it falls through. And we'd been on set for about 2 weeks at that point. And there's going to be people losing their money. There's going to be people just going to be frustrated with me. You know, all these interviews I did with the newspaper and the news and all that. I mean, it was going to be for nothing. I had a huge knot in my stomach. At this point, I need to interject because the night before, I was just tossing and turning, and I was just telling my wife, Sherry, that this is, the film is going to fall through for sure. There's no way it's going to happen. And she kept saying, have faith, have faith. I was like, it's not a matter of faith. It's just a matter of, logic. It's just not going to be able to happen. I can see it. I can foresee it. It's just not going to happen. So, I was going crazy. And then, so I wanted to throw that in there real quick because Sherry was the first to say have faith before Angela told me to do the same the next day. And the next day, one of the co-directors that had stepped up, I even expressed to her that I had doubts. And she never lost her faith. She said, we're going to make this happen. It is going to happen. And I was like, okay, prove me wrong. And it's one of the few times in my life that I was so thankful to be proven wrong. And it showed that God was so much bigger than what I could even comprehend in that situation. I was like, it's almost like he slowed time down or something. There was something going on because there's no way you can do what we did in that amount of time with the heat, with the chaos and all that. But God brought it together, and I knew if we could get through those 2 big days, when it required everybody out in the heat, sweating and just hardly any breaks. You just have to grab a water between takes and chug it, get in the shade when you have a moment. And between takes for me, I was like so close to passing out. I sweat a lot when it comes to, when I get hot. I don't perspire, I sweat, I don't know if you ever saw that clip of Airplane. It looked like the guy had a water hose on his head and he was sweating so much. But that's kind of how I sweat in real life, and I was just so fatigued and out of shape. I was struggling. I was like so close to passing out. My clothes were totally soaked. I probably drank over 2 gallons of liquid IV and water combined in a short amount of time. And people were putting cold rags on my neck between takes, and I could barely stand. But yeah, that's it was tough. But we got the scenes. We got it in the can, and there's a lot that just happened on this movie that was a struggle, both spiritually and physically. But I believe people's lives are going to be touched through this film, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it. And we had a committed cast and crew like I'd never seen before. Our camera guys and everybody was just totally worn out at the end of the day because they were doing more than the average Joe would do on a normal set. Normally you have, 40 or 50 people, and we had like a committed crew of 6 or 7 people, every day that were doing all these different jobs, and wearing many hats, and getting little breaks, and so. I was just, I didn't think they was going to stay on. I really didn't. I didn't think they were going to stay on board. I was like, who would put themselves through this misery, and not be getting paid for it? But they all stood behind me in support of me and this film, because it's not that they believe in me so much as they believe in the message of Preacher Man. They all read the script. They believe it's going to touch lives. They know it's for the Lord. I was just the vessel that God used to, write the film, and so I take no credit. Let me make that clear. I take no credit. All glory goes to Jesus Christ, because He was there every step of the way with me. and with everybody on this film nudging us along. And I just really appreciate everything everybody's done for me in this film. And I'm very excited to get started editing. We actually haven't started editing the film, because, we're going to have to raise some more money to do the editing. Editing takes a lot longer than filming. We filmed this in about a month. And of course, editing goes almost a year, And so you're looking at a lot of work. And it's going to go to different people who do different jobs in the editing. It's got to go to color correction, sound design, the FX and Foley and the musical score and all that kind of stuff. It's just so much that happens in post-production of a movie. And everybody needs to be paid something in that, because it's a lot of time. And so we're going to have to raise some money to go back to the funding page or whatever to raise some funds. And if you're interested in helping out, I'm telling you, every dollar would help, because I really want to get this movie out. I would say my goal would be April or May in 2026, possibly before, but I don't want it to stretch out more than that. And so if you want to help, I'll put a link in the description of this video, and it's like probably going to be a PayPal link or something. Just, hey, you can just give what you want if you want to help out. If you've enjoyed the other movies, I see a lot of people that watch the other movies on my YouTube channel and say how it's blessed their hearts and stuff. There's very few negative reviews. There'll be some haters out there, but that's going to be with everything. But if you really enjoyed any of the other movies and want to help with this one, we would all appreciate it. So it's just going to cut the time down and help things move a little bit faster. So now I would like to share with you, I know that was a mouthful, everything I went through with you, and I'm going to share some video and some photos behind the scenes of this movie. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll get back with you right after this. Hi guys, David Ford here in Jefferson, Texas at Salon Rouge, about to do the transformation with Darcy, Styles by Darcy, so looking forward to it. So let's go inside and get this process started. Hey Darcy.
Hey, how are you? Have a seat.
All right. Straight to the point.
Let's get this party started.
Well, the transformation is complete, as you can see. So the only thing left to do is dye the mustache, and in about a week we'll be on set and Dan Flanagan will come out. But it's not time for Dan Flanagan yet.
That way back. Yeah.
All right, try it one more time, Sherry, and get ready to fill up. Hold on. We got to do it first.
A little bit down. Bring the camera down.
Right, the camera's set.
All right. All right.
My pastor Jack Walton was in the film, and there's a scene where he has some actually loaded guns on set. And so that didn't go over too well with the cast and crew, so they made him unload the guns, and Jack wasn't very happy about it, but Jack's never really been on a movie set before, and he didn't kind of know how things work, and so we explained to him. But this next video is just for my pastor Jack to show him that yes, we do clear guns on set.
You want to clear the gun there, Justin?
Yeah, I am the volunteer armorer. Okay. BB gun or airsoft gun clear. No CO2 cartridge.
They would be proud of us.
We also had trouble getting the hospital in Marshall, and it took like 3 months, and we was scrambling just a couple of days before to try to figure out how to create a fake hospital scene and room and all that. And just a couple days before, Christus Good Shepherd of Marshall came through for us, and I want to thank my wife Sherry for that, for making those calls. Another godsend is Casey Carr. Casey is the daughter of my old high school football coach. And one night, me and my wife was at Cracker Barrel, and I thought I recognized Coach Carr. And I was like, is that Coach Carr? He was eating with his daughter Casey, and I walked up and was like, hey, how's it going? And come to find out, Casey had movie experience. And I was like, hey, well, I'm making a movie. And Casey came on board and just was a go-getter the whole time. I wouldn't trade 10 regular Joes for Casey on set, because she did the job of 10 people. Thank you, Casey. A cat showed up on set, and the cat was the most friendliest cat I think I've ever been around. So the friendly cat was able to get into the movie and does have a scene in the movie now. I guess you could say God provided the cat, because we actually did need a cat, and the person that was supposed to bring the cat, it didn't work out either for that. So another little miracle that happened was we actually started filming the church service and didn't have a pianist. And somebody, one of the extras, happened to be a very talented pianist, but he jumped in there and helped us out big time. I also wanted to mention that on the morning of filming at the prison, or our jail in St. Augustine, basically what happened was we had an actor that wasn't able to make it to set. So we had to try to replace him last minute. And we found another pastor who jumped in and helped us, and he had no movie set experience either, but he did a great job. So I wanted to thank Bishop Ronaldo Berger for stepping in and helping us out. I'd also like to thank Major Dodge, who brought on his good friend Mark Alessandria, who helped us with the film fight training. And we went up there and trained in Dallas for a day and choreographed the film along with my director of photography, Philip Russell, and we just had a good time training and saving a lot of time when it came time to shoot the movie on set. Mark is a stuntman, stunt actor, and stunt coordinator. He's doubled for people like Adam Sandler, Al Pacino, Duvall, Charlie Sheen, Sylvester Stallone, the list goes on. He's been in the business for over 40 years, and I just want to thank Mark for his time in helping us. Hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video. You've seen all the struggles we went through, but every time there was a struggle, every time Satan tried to stop us, God was there. And he just rescued us out of so many different situations. Too many situations that were coincidences where God's hand came in and just pulled us out of the pit. What Satan meant for evil, God turned around and made for good. Again, if you want to help with the fundraising and this project, links in the description. Thank you, and I'll see you at the movies. God bless.